Okay, please take your Bibles to the book of Numbers. Numbers chapter 13. Numbers chapter 13. Beginning of verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall ye send a man, every one a ruler among them. And Moses, by the commandment of the Lord, sent them from the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Israel. Then it gives their names, and we'll pick up in verse 17. And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, Get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain, and see the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. And what the land is that they dwell in, and whether it be good or bad. And what cities they be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds. And what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be ye of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehob, as men come to Hamath. And they ascended by the south and came unto Hebron, where all these names, Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the children of Anak, were. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they bare it between two upon a staff. And they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs. Okay. We'll keep reading here. The place was called the brook Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes, which the children of Israel cut down from thence. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Okay, the title of the message this morning is Big Fruit Grows Where the Giants Roam. Big fruit grows where the giants roam. See in the story of Israel and Canaan an important truth. God had promised his people the entire land of Canaan. And literally all they had to do was take God at his word, go in, and conquer the people of the land. God had incredible plans for the nation of Israel. The spies went into the land, and they came out saying that the land was flowing with milk and honey. And they bring out the grapes. They bring out the figs and the pomegranates. It just amazes me. Someday I want to see that cluster of grapes. One cluster of grapes, And it was so big they had to have a stick and 2 guys carrying it suspended in between them. Okay? What great things the Lord had in store for his people. He had wonderful victory and blessing just around the corner for the nation of Israel. But there's a problem. 10 of the 12 spies took more notice of the humanly impossible than the God possible. Why did Israel fail to conquer the land of Canaan? They had a lack of faith, a simple lack of trust in what God had said. And we'll look at just 3 points this morning concerning Israel's failure to be victorious. Okay, they come to the land. Of course, we know they receive punishment for this lack of obedience. They receive punishment. They wander in the wilderness for 40 years. And they all die off, with the exception of the children that God spares. They weren't old enough to decide for themselves. But I wonder how many times in those wilderness wanderings they were kicking themselves. Should have gone into the land. Man, those grapes would be good right about now. Right? 40 years they wander. And one by one, they die off. They die off. But why? Why did they fail to conquer the land of Canaan? Okay. First of all, they looked at the strength of their enemy instead of the might of their God. Chapter 13, verse 27. Okay, and they told him, so they come to Moses. Moses sends these spies in. Of course, we know the 2 faithful spies are Joshua and Caleb. But there was 10 that opposed their thoughts. Okay, and so these spies come back. And they come with this report to Moses and the people, and they told him and said, "We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey." And I mean, check out this fruit. Have you ever seen such a cluster of grapes? Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land. Okay? They're strong. The people that live in this land are strong. Well, wait a second. Didn't God promise them this land? Right? Chapter 13, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, "Send thou men that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel." This is a promise. God says, I gave it to you. It's yours. Just obey. Just go into the land and conquer. Just do what you're told. Right? It's like you try to drill it into a kid's head sometimes. Just do what you're told. Just do what you're told. Stop overthinking it. Stop doubting. Stop asking questions. Just obey. Right? We sing Standing on the Promises this morning. The children of Israel didn't. God says, here's your land. Here's the promised land. Nevertheless, the people are strong. Right? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing, God, but you must not have noticed them people in there. I mean, there's people groups in the mountains. There's people groups in the valleys. There's giants. Right? They looked at the strength of their enemy. They took their focus off of God and focused on what was impossible in their own minds. Their perspective is entirely wrong. God said, go. And they go into the land, they spy it out, and they say, oh man, those guys, those guys are strong. I mean, you can see their muscles, right? Like pumping iron in them. They're strong. So why do we focus on the strength of our enemy? Boy, we look around this world today, and I mean, it's depressing. It is depressing. And I'm guilty as much as anybody. You say, boy, it just seems almost impossible to see someone receive the Lord as their Savior. You're just fighting so much today. We have a spiritual warfare going on. I mean, Satan is powerful. He's the prince of the power of the air. He's the god of this world. He has blinded the minds of them which believe not, right? And yet God says that we're to go ye into all the world and preach the gospel. God says, lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. God says, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. But yet, we look around and we say, Satan's got such a grip on these people. We have to, sort through so much today, the false religions and the Bible version issue and the on and on and on, right? It's just so difficult. And we just have this tendency to give up or not give our best effort because the enemy is so strong, right? Well, there's temptation everywhere today. It's nigh unto impossible to, remain pure. You can't, and we just give up. It's so difficult. It's so hard. The flesh is so strong and the world doesn't help us. So it's not a big deal if I give in once or twice. And we fail to obey the Lord. We fail to follow God's promises, rest in the promises of God. Turn to Jeremiah chapter 32. Verse 17. Ah, Lord God, behold, thou hast made the heaven and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for thee. Verse 27. Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? Of course, we understand the answer to that is no. There's nothing too hard for God. And yet, when it comes to our daily lives, God has special things for us. He has blessings He wants to give us, and He expects us to trust Him and just do what we're told. And yet, God's the creator of the universe, but this is just such a difficult situation. He doesn't understand. It's like, wait a second. Is God the creator, or isn't He? Has God set the stars in space, or hasn't He? Has He called them all by name, or hasn't He? Is He big to you, or is He not? We like to say He's big. We like to, talk big about God, but when it comes to putting it into practice, we just, but Satan, he's pretty strong too. The world, the critics, there's so many of them. And we get our eyes off the Lord. We focus on the strength of our enemy, just like the Israelites did. Okay. Number 2. Israel looked at the assets of their enemy instead of the promise of their God. Now, you got to think, hopping back here a little bit to point number 1, just what had Israel seen? Okay, what had they seen God do recently? Anybody? Right. They watched God part the Red Sea. I don't know about you, but I've never seen anything like that. They hadn't either. They watched God part the Red Sea. They walk across on dry land. God drowns Pharaoh's army. And they forget so soon the strength of their God. They forget so soon, and it's so easy for us to look and say, boy, the Israelites were stupid people. But how many times has the Lord done something so great for us, and then a week later, 2 weeks later, we're doubtful, fretting about whatever situation we're in? We're the same way. They forgot the strength of their Lord. Secondly, they looked at the assets of their enemy instead of the promise of their God. Verse 28. The people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. You say, man, not only are these people strong, they've got a lot going for them. I mean, just look at the walls. Have you ever stopped to consider how foolish these people must have felt? How foolish these people would have felt had they lived to see their children go into the land and march around the walls of Jericho 7 times and watch them fall. Because here, you wouldn't believe the walls in this place. And because of their lack of faith, God says, okay, you're not going to see it. Your kids will. You're not going to see how I take care of this. You're going to wander in the wilderness. You're going to die. Your children are going to come in, and I'll take care of the walls. They've got walls. Man, the impossibility over. How are we going to conquer them? We'd have to get through their walls first, and then the real battle would start. Then you face the strong men. So not only are they strong, they've got walls. They've got this incredible defense around them. And they just totally forget that God says, it's yours. It's yours. Take it. I've got blessings for you. Just obey. By faith, just obey. Right? God has blessings. He never promises that they'll come easily. Okay? It's a simple thing to obey God. It doesn't make it an easy thing. Yeah, it's simple, but doing it's a hard thing. But the idea here is God has incredible blessing. And sometimes you got to realize that the incredible blessings will come when there's difficulties. Okay? There's big fruit in the land, giant fruit. Check this out. But there's people in the way. They've got this giant wall. Yeah? Oh, you want a great blessing? You got a great responsibility. Okay? And God promised it already. Just obey. Just go. God will take care. God fights for you. But man, sometimes we come up against a difficulty and we just so quickly give up. So quickly, must not happen. Must not be God's will. That's just hard. And yeah. And if you will press on and you'll have faith and you'll take the Lord at His word, He's got incredible blessings waiting for you. Because big fruit grows where the giants roam. In this story. So often we give up in the preliminaries. It's like we haven't even started fighting. The Israelites are like, nah, we saw him. That's enough. You didn't even try. It wasn't like they went to one of the cities and fought and faced some adversity and then they decided to give up. It was like, nope, I'm good. I saw them. They're tough guys. And that wall. If God can't trust us to overcome small circumstances, we're never going to succeed in being victorious over the real enemy. Okay? And again, I'm preaching it myself here. It's easy to say and hard to do, to have faith, to trust the Lord, to just do what you know you're supposed to do no matter who opposes you. And Caleb and Joshua, of all the children of Israel, you could probably throw Moses in there too. Of all the children of Israel, they wanted to do what God said. And the multitude said, no. And Caleb and Joshua, God blessed. Can you imagine these guys watching their peers drop as they wandered through the wilderness year after year? Guys, I told you. I don't know if this happened, just my imagination. Hey, you ever think that maybe we should have gone in there like the Lord said? How many discussions would they have had in their tents? And no matter who opposes us, we have to say, God said. This is what we're going to do. God said. As fathers, we have to be this way in our homes. As men of a church, we have to be this way in our church. God says. So let's do it. No matter who opposes us, no matter if the world says we can't preach against homosexuality, because that's hateful, right? Speech, hate crime. God says it's wrong, and we need to lovingly proclaim the truth. God can't trust us with the little things. How will he ever trust us with the big? Turn to Matthew chapter 25. The Lord's not going to lead further down the trail if we can't even take the first step. Verse 21. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Of course, this is the parable of the talents. Okay. The man gives 5 talents to one man, one of his servants, 2 talents to another, and 1 to another. And the man with the 5 talents, the servant with the 5 talents, goes while his Lord is gone. He goes and he invests, and he ends up with 5 more talents. He does something with what he's been given. And the man with the 2 talents does the same thing, and the guy with the 1 talent says, Oh, I knew that you were a hard man. Okay. Now, if you study this out, I personally believe he just has a false perspective of his master. It's not that the man was actually hard. This servant just had a rotten attitude toward his boss. And he says, you were a hard man. You sow where you haven't reaped, and so I just buried it in the dirt. There it is. He was unfaithful with what the Lord gave him. His Lord gave him, his master. But the men that invested, the men that did something with what they were given, the men that came back and said, okay, they tried to please their master. They said, I've got 5 more talents. I've got 2 more talents. He says, all right. You've been trustworthy with a little bit. I'm going to make you give you more responsibility. I'm going to promote you. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Verse 15. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Verse 57. But thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? Christ has conquered sin. Christ has conquered death. 1 John chapter 4. Ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. John 14:14. Verse 13, And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. Okay? God has promised. He's given us his promise that if we ask for his strength, we ask for his help, we rest in the fact that he has conquered sin, he has conquered death, he has conquered the foe already. And we just rest in that, and we just obey. He'll bless. He'll give victory in our own personal lives over the flesh. He'll give victory. We'll see souls saved. Okay? Now, it might not be great numbers, but boy, you pray for someone, you invest, you do it enough, you're going to catch something, right? You throw in the fishing line enough times, something's eventually going to grab it. All right? We're fishers of men. The problem is we complain that we don't catch fish when we got our fishing pole sitting in the boat next to us doing nothing with it. Oh, people just aren't getting saved. Well, how often have I spoken up for the Lord? How often have I witnessed? Not as often as I should. Because we're I think more often than not, scared of the foe. We're scared of the enemy. Oh, what might they think of us? Well, I know those people, and they had Catholic parents. They don't want what I... Oh, you haven't tried. You haven't even tried. Yeah, there might be a wall there, but what's a wall to God? A wall. Okay? A wall. Yeah, a wall to us. Stone, huge. A wall to God? He made the earth. He created the sun, the galaxies, billions of galaxies with billions and trillions of stars in them each. I mean, it's just unfathomable. And we look at God and say, I don't think you're bigger than that wall. That's just a difficulty. Thirdly, they looked at the track record of their enemy instead of the reputation of their God. Chapter 13, verse 28. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. And we see in verse 33 that the children of Anak were giants. And they have a reputation, obviously. Nobody questions, well, who are the children of Anak? And we don't see any questions. Who are they? No, everybody knew who the children of Anak were. These guys were big. These guys were tough. These guys weren't to be messed with. And instead of saying, well, yeah, they're big and tough, but they're just humans, and we have God on our side, let's go, like Caleb said. The masses say, oh, no. You're not getting me to go in there. You should have seen those guys. 9 foot tall. Right? Goliath. Like people. Deuteronomy chapter 9. Verse 2, a people great and tall, the children of the Anakims, whom thou knowest, and of whom thou hast heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak? They had a reputation. People say, nobody can stand before these guys. Who can stand before the children of Anak? They're tall. They're strong. They had a reputation. But didn't God as well? Had not God proved himself to them, bringing them out of the land of Egypt? Look at the plagues before they left the country. Look at the plagues alone. Okay? The hail, the frogs, the flies, right? On and on and on. The water turned to blood. The disease that struck the cattle. The death of the firstborn. Right? Miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. And instead of looking and saying, yeah, the Anakims are strong. Those guys are big. No doubt. But they're just humans. They can't part the Red Sea. They can't send frogs in such abundance that Pharaoh to see. They can't turn water to blood. Right? Instead of looking at what God can do, they're focused on, oh, the Anakims, they're giants. They're giants. What are we going to do about them guys? Who can stand before the Anakims? The sons of Anak. And so when it comes to us, why is it that we look at all that Satan can do, right, is doing in our world? Why is it that we focus, oh, this world's just so terrible. It's so wicked, and it is. Can God really do a work today? Yeah. Might not be how we perceive that God would work. Might not be in our way. God can use us. God can do great things. God can give incredible blessings. God can give fruit if we're just willing to face the giants. We're just willing to say, okay, yeah, that's a difficult task for me. It's an impossible task for me, but I serve God. It's David's attitude. when he faces Goliath. I love it. One of my favorite stories in the Bible, one of the classic Bible stories, right? But you just can't, David's attitude. David had some character flaws, no doubt, but I love that story. And he says, who do you think you are? Here he is, young shepherd boy, probably teenage years, and he looks at this giant, man of war, 9 foot tall, and says, yeah, you've got a stick. You've got a sling. You've got a sword and a spear. Big whoop. He says, I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, whom thou hast defied. Who can stand before the Lord? Who do you think you are? You've blasphemed my God's name. What are giants to the Lord? He made them. He made them. God made the sons of Anak. Even though they were wicked people, God didn't, choose their wickedness for them, but he literally created them. And why is it that we look at these people and say, oh, they're so huge. Yeah, and they're just humans, like the rest of us. You go to witness to someone, and sometimes every once in a while it'll click in my brain. It's like, they're just a human being. Now, I'm not degrading them, but sometimes in our minds they're giants. It's like, they're intimidating. What are they going to think? What are they going to say? Right? It's this giant before us, and oh no, God created them, just like he created you. And you, if you're saved, have the Lord on your side. I was talking to a guy just this week, and, Carl would know, but he's talking about a trip down to Haiti. He went on, and just this man who had received the Lord, his family was entrenched in voodoo practice, just witchcraft, devil worship. And for centuries, his fathers and his grandfathers had been voodoo priests. And this man gets saved out of this, and he said, he had to cleanse this. He had to get rid of this this voodoo temple and all the ritualistic objects, the masks and the altars and all this stuff. And he's a bit scared. He grew up with this stuff, and Satan is powerful, no doubt. This guy that went down there, he's like, I just looked at it like, oh, whatever. So he marches into the temple, here he's a saved man. He says, I just start throwing stuff out the window, we're going to burn it. Like, what do we have to be scared of? The Lord's on our side. Now, we know Satan's powerful. Again, I'm not saying that we do not respect Satan, because Satan is a powerful being. And Michael, the archangel, when dealing with the devil, confronted him with the name of the Lord, because he understands how powerful Satan is. So again, I'm not saying we treat Satan flippantly, but understand that our God is greater than the devil. He's already defeated, and he knows that, which is why he's fighting so hard to do everything he possibly can. And so we cannot, as Christians, sit here and say, oh, that's just difficult. That's a hard thing. Look at the walls. Look at the people. Look at the reputation. I don't want to witness to that guy. He's yelled at people before. Right? That's how soft we are in America. It's sad. Oh, somebody got mad at me. This is my own personal, testimony. A couple of kids used to come here to church with us, and I miss them. But their mom got mad. The reason they don't come anymore, got mad because of something that I taught in junior church. It's Bible. And, I don't want my kids learning. Yes, I understand it's a difficult thing. I understand that, it's not a pleasant thing to think about the fact that there are Christians across the world and down through the centuries who have been martyred. But it's Bible, it's the truth. And what's my tendency? Well, I don't want to go back there to that house because she's mad at me, right? I mean, I'm just being honest. That's, and we fight these things. We fight these feelings. And boy, that's a big thing. I don't want to face the foe, an angry mother, right? But we've got to focus on the Lord. Who is Satan when God's on our side, right? And so when it comes to Israel coming into the land, you just, how many times did they look back and say, should have listened, should have obeyed, should have listened, should have obeyed? There was a day not too long ago, I felt pretty frustrated, discouraged with myself, because the Lord gave me very clear opportunity twice in a day to witness. And the fear gets to you, and you don't open your mouth. And I'm telling you what, you feel rotten. At least I did. You just feel rotten. Like, the Lord gave everything for me. And here I face the foe, and I don't have enough trust, enough faith in God, enough love for my Savior to just say, okay, yeah, this might be a difficult thing. Might be fear that, fights me. But God said it. I'm going to do it. Trust the Lord to give me strength. And boy, when you fail, it's like, you don't soon forget it. And I imagine that the Israelites, as they wandered and wandered and wandered and wandered, guess we should have obeyed. And you wonder how they taught their children in the wilderness. Kids, we're not going to make it, but when you get there, you better do what God says. Because this is what happens when you don't obey. Again, I don't know. I imagine. But they had 40 years to think about it. 40 years as they wandered in the wilderness to consider how they had acted. Simple lack of faith. They failed to conquer the land because they didn't focus on the Lord. They didn't focus on God. They focused on the temporal. They focused on the external. They focused on the human aspect of things. They said, no. God's not good enough. God's not strong enough. And they didn't receive the fruit of the land. They didn't receive the blessings of God. Just a simple lack of faith and obedience. We sing the song, Trust and Obey. Trust and obey. There's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Simple song, simple concept, and so hard to live. So hard to live. So, how many times do we miss out on blessings of God, just because we don't face the difficulty, deal with it, trust the Lord to get us through, and see God's blessing? I imagine that it's probably pretty often. And I hope that we can grow in faith and learn to trust the Lord more, take Him at His word, and that we will receive blessing from Him. So let's pray.